This day, I'm going to talk about a very technical concept of many systems. It is called domain-specific language. The most famous one in the history of game development is the SCUMM script language. SCUMM is not the first one, ZIL, and the one from Sierra came before that. But I reckon that you probably played a SCUMM VM game once. And you will probably know that OpenAI is aiming to be the first to create AGI. But what a lot of people don't know is that Sierra was actually the first to create AGI. And that was in 1984. Can you imagine that? Inspired by SCUMM and AGI, I developed my own style of adventure language called Scrap. Scrap stands for Script Creating Adventures for Pixel Parity. Making scripts for my point-and-click adventures were always cumbersome. When I made them, typos and incomplete script parts tripped me up more than once, and this took up a lot of time. This all changed when I made a script helper plugin for my favorite development environment. This helps me to perform auto-completion on all the tasks I need in an event block. The plugin also helps me create a scaffold for a chosen event by suggesting the match with game objects to have it function successfully. Here you can see the plugin creating the scaffold in the Groovy editor. It is immediately ready for adding tasks within the tasks code block. As you can see, highlights and auto-completion work like a charm. I always thought a plugin in my favorite development environment, IntelliJ, would be hard to make, so I studied on JetBrains' site what it needed to function. In my case, it needed an annotator to highlight and colorize the tasks and task keywords. And I needed a completion contributor class to provide the code to make the auto-completion happen. Finally, a config file needs to be present that glues everything together so the development environment knows how to load the plugin. Because of my limited knowledge of Kotlin, I thought Codex could help me set up a simple plugin scaffold. With the right prompt and after a few futile attempts, it started to work in the test dev environment. With the help of Codex, I could create the plugin with relative ease and spend more time on other things like finishing the game jam within the allotted time. I took the plugin for a spin during a 6-day game jam so I could immediately benefit from the speed up in development. I made a Dutch pixel art adventure for a game jam, and I thought Easter Island was a good pick. Basically, this event triggers 4 tasks when the bucket is picked up. And this is how it looks. Looks clean and simple, right? Okay, let's walk through how a DSL can be made with Groovy. Groovy was my choice because it integrates well with Java. That is driving my libgdx game. You might have used a Groovy DSL before when you encountered a Jenkins pipeline config for CI/CD, or if you build your Java system with the help of Gradle. My tasks in the block I showed earlier are actually evaluated as a list of closures. A closure represents a piece of executable logic. So the tasks method basically accepts a closure that builds a task list, where each task is represented by a closure and the resulting list of task closures is returned. In my case, I am handling every closure in sequence and manage the finishing of each task with a listener to advance to the next closure to execute. So Scrap is built on top of Groovy and libgdx. The libgdx part hooks into the graphics code and also takes away all the boilerplate code like imports and make the syntactic sugar possible. So the script stays clean and readable. So what is the benefit of having a domain-specific language? One big reason is that a non-developer could learn how to use the language and make a working game easily without writing real code. Another one is abstracting away the complexity of the engine and keep it ultra-readable. And what about telling an artificial intelligence what each task does to help write scripts? This works brilliantly.
Really?
So this will greatly benefit my new project, Mac Marcus and the Ring of Solomon, where I made of a lot of progression since the Dutch game jams. The first big improvement was that the pixel parity engine is now separate from the scripting code, making it much easier to upgrade older point-and-click adventures, benefiting bug fixes and improvements more easily. It is now as easy as incrementing the version in Gradle. Another one is that I am able to make color-cycled animations by moving the indices of a palette of colors, as you could see in the starting sequence in the Mac Marcus game. A while ago, I made a high-res version of a gradient banner, but I wanted a more pixelized version that is driven by code. Another addition is the classic 9-verb interface that is very flexible among different choices of resolution or aspect ratio. The chosen color palette is also fully customizable. Functionally speaking, it is fully compatible with the thin bar icon interface that I used to use before. It gives that classic LucasArts look and feel, don't you think? Another classic feature of LucasArts games was first introduced in the game jam for The Secret of Easter Island. The pixel art characters can now scale up and down thanks to a black and white gradient map, making large rooms more believable. Excellent for the outside area of Bletchley Park. Just for comedic surprises, I also added a Sierra-style death box option, where I can render multiple lines of text with the help of a new scrap script item. Another improvement to the engine was that dialogue navigation is now fully interactive. Multi-line support and correct pagination with the arrows. The text is highlighted when I hover over it.
I think I am too American to fit in with these posh people.
Another addition to the engine is masking parts of the scene, where the player should be clipped away in certain areas. The black and white mask is added to the room definition with the Wimpy tool. This can be seen in this room where the player leaves the room. Another big time saver is that the walk box polygon is converted into a walkable mesh structure at load time, instead of a pre-processing step that was needed before. This also required a separate file that needed to be parsed. This makes rapid room prototyping much easier. That change made more sophisticated scenarios possible, like a controllable jail door, as seen in the Thimbleweed Park game. By executing a scrap method, that jail door could be opened or closed at will. Another improvement is the introduction of a scrappy builder to add characters to the scene. So text color, walk speed, starting spot, and scale are part of the builder and can be extended easily. You can see the text color is pink for Mildred.
Can you tell me where Tom Flowers' office is?
Oh, but son, you have to go to Commander Denniston first. He's got some proper vetting to do.
So what is this point-and-click adventure all about? As you can see on this lineup of pixel art characters, I am trying to replicate the style of the classic era of LucasArts and Sierra adventure games. It will mix fictional characters with some historical characters, like Alan Turing and others that worked in Bletchley Park from 1939 and onwards. While I always tinkered a lot with AI to generate rooms and characters, I started making rooms the old-fashioned way. The good thing is that you stay true to the reference image, and the result is much more satisfying. When I saw how the rooms of Monkey Island came to fruition, I started to block the rooms in a similar way, with the added benefit of testing the layout with characters in an earlier stage. This prevents me from putting too much effort in rooms that won't make the final game. Well, I am about ready to wrap up this game development log about domain-specific languages and how I applied it in my game. And also a big update on my home-built point-and-click engine called the Pimped Pixel Parity Engine. And finally, some updates on Mac Marcus and the Ring of Solomon. If you like this video, please like it. And if you want to follow my progress, just hit the subscribe button. It keeps me engaged to post more about my journey to recreate that classic point-and-click adventure.